too good. Who's the doctor they told you to go see? Y'all better listen up closely. All you bitches that said that I turn pop or the firm flop, y'all are the reason that Dre ain't been getting no sleep. So fuck y'all, all of y'all. If y'all don't like me, blow me. Y'all gon' keep fucking around with me and turn me back to the old me. Nowadays everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Nowadays everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. So what do you say to somebody you hate? Ready when trying to bring trouble your way? Want to resolve things in a bloody way? They study a tape of NWA. One day I was walking by with a Walkman on when I called a guy, give me an awkward eye, and I strangled him off in the parking lot with his car and I don't give a fuck if it's dark or not. I'm harder than me trying to park a Dodge, but I'm drunk as fuck. Right next to a humongous truck in a 2-car garage. Hopping out with 2 broken legs, trying to walk it off. Fuck you too, bitch, call the cops. I'ma kill you and loud ass motherfucking barking dogs. And when the cops came through, me and Dre stood next to a burnt down house with a can full of gas and a handful of matches. They still weren't found out. Right here. So from here on out, it's a chronic too. Starting today, tomorrow's a new. But I'm still local enough to choke you to death with a Charleston Chew. Slim Shady, how did I the twin babies in a Mercedes Benz with the windows up, but the temp goes up to the mid-80s. Calling men ladies. Sorry, doc, but I've been crazy. There's no way that you can't save me. It's okay, go with him, Haley. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. If it was up to me, you motherfuckers would stop coming up to me with your hands out, looking up to me like you want something free. When my last CD was out, you weren't bumping me, but now that I got this little company, everybody wanna come to me like it was some disease, but you won't get a crumb from me, cause I'm from the streets of. I told them all them little gangsters who you think help mold them all. They wanna run around talking about guns like I ain't got none. What you think I sold them all cause I stay well off? Now all I get is hate mail all day saying Dre fell off. What? Cause I've been in the lab with the pen and the pad trying to get this damn label off. I ain't having that. It's the millennium of aftermath. It ain't gonna be nothing after that. So give me one more platinum black and fuck rap, you can have it back. So where's all the mad rappers at? It's like a jungle in this habitat. And all you savage cats know that I was strapped with gas where you were cuddling the cabbage patch. Nowadays everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Nowadays everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre.
We're live. Sorry for earlier. YouTube doing YouTube things. So yeah, welcome back to Canna-heads. It's your once a week podcast for latest in cannabis, local and national news every Sunday at around 7:30 p.m. Typically we go for about an hour to an hour and a half. My name is Phil.
I'm Anthony.
And you're right here. Say something again real quick.
Testicles.
All right, there we go. So yeah, welcome back to the show, everybody. There's really not much going on with cannabis, but there's a lot going on in just general, and it can affect cannabis. The incoming presidency is going to be good for cannabis, so that's one good thing. It's going to be a little weird, I think, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But if you like podcasting news type shows, KRFF Radio Free Fargo on 95.9 on Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. I should have had this loaded up earlier, but we also did release the episodes from like 2019. So I'm going to drop that link there. It's basically all the call-in shows and the guest shows, so it's pretty interesting. And I think I'm glad that we re-uploaded them, because they kind of were a lot of work. Actually, almost all of these episodes is a lot of work, but this is that. If I can get the link. No, don't shovel play. What? If I wanted to get a share link for this, could I do that? YouTube, and their infinite wisdom has changed things around. So give me a minute to get that link, because this makes sense. YouTube rant. In order to do anything to a video on YouTube and being able to see it from like what a viewer would see it as, you have to use a different account to do it, because it just goes to studio no matter what you do. So yeah, that should have killed enough time for me to get this playlist link. Yep, there it is. All right, so go on over here. We have all these episodes. Just over here. So these are the episodes that we have re-uploaded. Just gonna turn that off. So yeah, we got Dave Thompson, who wrote the Cannabis Act bill, North Dakota Freedom of Cannabis Act. That's the one. Shane and Joe Bertrand, Jody Vetter. Basically, everybody that we did in 2019, we re-uploaded it with our logo on it, not the old logo, because lawsuit threats. So
Apparently, a picture's a big fucking deal.
yeah. Well, then I made a big deal of it after he did that deal for me. That was the story behind that. And there's actually one group on there that still hasn't changed it, but whatever.
Pissing matches, man.
Yeah.
Got bigger fish to fry.
Right? Yeah. So, let's jump into it. Jay-Z has a, well, I think we talked about him launching one. It just hasn't launched yet, and now it is. So Jay-Z, Sean Corey Carter, which is Jay-Z, he is going for a designer line of pre-rolls, and they're going to be different enterprises that he's going to go into with cannabis, and he goes on to say, cannabis has been around for thousands of years, yet it still is an industry whose legacy is skilled craftsmanship is often overlooked. So he created Monogram, this is their website. It's super pretty. And so, yeah.
Look at us screwing around with WordPress and stuff. These guys got full-on fucking video going on in the background.
Well, no,
making us
this
look
is
bad.
WordPress. I think this is WordPress. I'm pretty sure it is. Let's find out. No, I think this is HTML5.
You see anything, WP?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
If you
I do
ever
the
want to
same
find
thing.
out, they're using Cloudflare. Nope, I guess not. Unless they've changed the folder. Either way, it's a pretty website. This cool little graphic that I'm super jealous of, because
that's what happens when you get Jay-Z money, man.
This is actually a lot of work. Like, this is a 3D model. Now, while this looks simple, the cross-hatching up here, that's actually a lot of work to do.
Showing shapes and everything.
Yeah. And the 3D, this logo part, or this spinning part, that's a little bit more difficult than, like, this, but once you get this down, this is very easy to do. So he's created Monogram to give cannabis the respect it deserves by showcasing the tremendous hard work, time, and care that goes into crafting a superior smoke. They're just numbered, like number 1, number 3, number 70. I don't know what the story behind that is, but they also have, you can buy it in a medicinal state, or I think this is only recreation, though. I don't know what happens if I just hit this. Loading, add to cart. Yeah, delivery or pickup. So I think you have to be in their area. But, yeah, kind of a cool thing. So, yeah, that's Jay-Z for ya. This one kind of pissed me off. This one's been a ongoing drama, I'd say, I guess, is what I'd call it. Chrissy Noam.
The biggest reason why I put this in here, by the way, was the fact that she bold-ass lied. That's the biggest thing that tipped me enough to even talk about it.
How so? Well, I guess it's...
There's... Yeah, in that first point that I made, Governor Chrissy Noem said in an executive order Friday that she directed the Highway Patrol Superintendent to bring a lawsuit against the voter-approved amendment legalizing marijuana after her spokesman previously said that she hadn't, and they defended that.
Really?
Yeah, where they're like, nope, we didn't order anybody to do it. They did it willingly, whatever. And when you go on to read the full story in that site, it goes on to say how they were saying they did it. They did it all on their free will. And then she puts out an executive order directing exactly that.
Yeah, she said on November 20th, 2020, I directed Colonel. Is that how you spell Colonel? Okay. Colonel Rick Miller to commence the Amendment A litigation on my behalf in his official capacity. At all times thereafter, Colonel Rick Miller has acted as a petitioner and plaintiff in the Amendment A litigation under my direction. And the Amendment A lawsuit, the Amendment A was the name of the measure that was on the ballot. But basically their argument, the plaintiff's argument, is the measure comprises more than one subject. The measure does not simply amend the Constitution, but rather revises the Constitution, and therefore required a constitutional convention to be called for by a 3/4 vote to all the members of each House and state legislature. So they go on, the defense says Amendment A contains one subject to which all provisions are essentially related, and the state constitutional definition of amendment and revision is permissive, not obligatory. So, do
we have that Amendment A?
I got the order, but I think it's right here. It's actually on here. Yeah, because this is just the Amendment A Ballotpedia. By the way, Ballotpedia, fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. But I was thinking to scan over it real quick to see, because I can understand if it was saying like to the legalization of cannabis and expungement, or something like that, because then you're covering two subjects, but I don't think it counts as two subjects to lay out the legalization, and under that legalization we would have to take into account tax law and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's the thing with the whole single subject rule. By definition, a subject is a topic, so cannabis would be that subject, and the things that it affects would be the things that it affects. I don't know how else.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is like, I could see where they're going to try and take advantage of that to try to knock it. But this is somebody who doesn't have a lot of popularity going on right now, and I'll double check that because I'm pretty sure I saw it. She doesn't have a lot of popularity going on. And when you had a majority vote in favor of legalization, just turn on shit all over it and say, I know better than you.
Yeah, that is actually one thing that she said, like, I know better than my voter, or than the voters. I remember talking about that very arguably, but yeah, so election results was 54% or 54.18% for 45 obviously 0.82 for no. The Amendment A legalized the recreational use of marijuana for individuals 21 years or older. Under the measure, individuals are allowed to possess and distribute up to 1 ounce. It required the state legislature to pass laws providing for a program for medicinal marijuana and the sale of hemp by April 1st, 2022. And I feel like that should probably be the best offense. That, no, we are, it's because of your single subject rule, we can't, dictate or, give our input onto this. So we are going to require the state legislature to actually pass the different laws that would basically set up the framework. I feel like that is probably a really good defense in that aspect. Individuals who live in a jurisdiction with no licensed retail stores can grow up to 3 marijuana plants in a private residence in a locked space And not more than 6 plans could be kept at one residence at a time. So if there's 2 people there, 3 each. They were set to be taxed at 15%. The tax revenue is used by the Revenue Department to implement the amendment, and 50% of the remaining would go to public schools, and 50% would be the general fund, or in North Dakota we call it the legacy fund. Under the amendment, a local government could ban cultivation, testing facilities, wholesalers, and retail stores from operating in their limits, but, or I guess they could ban cultivation too. So why doesn't, if she's really that pissed off about it, why doesn't she, like, talk to the different town mayors and just try to get it outlawed in that jurisdiction? And then just push that blame over to somebody else, and then she doesn't have to take so much shit. A local government...
I just can't get over the audacity of it.
Right. Yeah. Local government cannot prohibit the transportation on public roads. It's sad that that has to be said, because that's exactly what happened with hemp. Literally a truck driving through the state got somebody pulled over and charged. Don't know exactly how that panned out, but yeah.
I'll look at it real quick.
Yeah, so they basically say it's the one subject rule, and the thing is South Dakota got the one subject rule, Nebraska got the one subject rule, and that's how they've been able to score it out. But yeah, the fact that, and then on January 6th, they announced that they got the amount of signatures. Okay, I thought that was 2021. I was like, oh, what did they do? But Thorne, Miller, and Noam all spoke out against Amendment A before it passed, also approved using state funds to pay for Miller's legal fees, and that would be, I think, the sheriff? The sheriff that did the suit, too?
Yeah, there's a sheriff and that colonel who's the state police commissioner.
Yeah. Yeah, and they would be paying for their legal fees, which is odd. If they're doing it in a private capacity, but this one is saying that they're doing it in the official capacity, I guess it makes sense. Either way, the governor approved this because she took an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and it's part of her duty as governor, which, yeah, I would say that that is exactly why she should allow it. That's pretty much the best defense in that aspect. Like, hey, you know, you kind of made this promise that you were going to, and how many terms has she served? Christy Noam.
Okay. Yeah, but I think that's fair. You need to have a clean table.
Let's see.
Then you fill that.
Tenure.
One.
Said a whole bunch of stupid shit. 2018 election, so this is her second term, so she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right? That's what this is. She doesn't give a shit. In office January 2007 to 2011. Yeah, so she just doesn't give a shit at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, whatever. Either way, yeah, hopefully this kind of gets resolved, and I mean, I guess if they have to go again, that's gonna suck, but if they got the support in the first place, why aren't they gonna get support in the second place, or the second time? So, hopefully that turns out good, yeah. So, we're gonna jump into, an iffy subject. I'll also go on with this. I'm just explaining the process. I will be adding commentary into it, but yeah, it's just my personal view. We're in a very, very heated political landscape. God, I hate that word. And so, yeah. So, what we're going to talk about is the 25th Amendment. We can just kind of jump into what the 25th Amendment is. in case of the removal of the president from office or his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president. Let me find that part. I should add it. Copy. Oh my gosh. Why is it? Yeah, here we go. So should devolve onto the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability, both for the president and vice president, declaring what officer shall then act as president, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed, or president shall be elected. Essentially what that means is, basically, okay, let's kind of go back a little bit. In 1967, the 25th Amendment was passed, offering a little bit more concrete system. They had actually added the original writing of it did not really provide for a process as much as what it was about. So they added Section 3, and this is when the president has the authority to declare himself to be unable to discharge his duties. So why that's a thing, Section 3 is, for instance, George W. Bush and Ronald Reagan. They both had medical procedures performed, and when they went under, they enacted Section 3, giving the powers over to the vice president in the event something bad happens. So that's what it's usually commonly used for, is if a president has to go through a medical procedure of any kind, it allows for basically you to check off that box so it doesn't become what it's turning into Section 4. Section 4 is what everybody's talking about right now. And a bunch of ex-officials have suggested that it should be implemented, and a little bit about ex-officials, by the way. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of officials leaving the presidency. That really has nothing to do with the insurrection or, their distrust in the president. Essentially, it is being painted that way in media, but when a new president goes into office, it's common and a nicety for the members to quit so that the new president doesn't have to fire them. So it's kind of more of just a process, and this happens every presidency, or every new presidency. So that's kind of the way it works. If you've ever seen West Wing, they kind of do that. They kind of talk a little bit about that. So, yeah, it's kind of what it's being painted as. But Section 4 has never been invoked before, ever, in history. And essentially when it was written, it wasn't made, it was made in such a way that if it's invoked, it's not a possibility of it being a vice president attempting a coup or to overthrow the president, to kind of climb up that and break that glass ceiling real quick. So basically, if the president is unable to declare themselves, unable to discharge their duties, so like if, God forbid, there was an assassination or, a very bad accident or anything like that, that's kind of what it is. So there, if the president said that, okay, sorry, I kind of wrote these out a little bit. So if they're unable to declare themselves unable to discharge their duties, such as emergency surgery or unresponsive, that's kind of what that's for. The writing indicates their intention would be if a president said he's okay, but the vice president and 2/3 of the cabinet disagree. This is kind of what their aim here is. Now, basically, this section, it has been invoked, or the reason why it was written was because of how the Constitution ended up getting written. The entire United States, essentially, when they were writing the Constitution, they were trying to get away from King George III, who said that he was okay, but they disagreed. That was kind of the thing. They thought he was going crazy, I think is what the term was for them, but mentally incompetent is basically what they're trying to go with. But that's kind of the reason why Section 4 was written, and then in 1967 is when it was expounded upon and made a little bit more a process actually being placed. So the vice president and the majority of the cabinet, so basically everyone around the president or any other body established by law, transmits to the president pro tempore of the Senate, Chuck Grassley in this situation, and Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi in this situation. And when it comes to the cabinet members, funny story about the cabinet members, there's only 3. I think it was 3 is what I counted. Yeah, so there's about 3 or 4 original cabinet members. Everybody else is acting cabinet member. And these would be, acting attorney general, director of the CIA, secretary of commerce, defense, secretary of defense, all basically like the people around and giving advice to the president. So what they need is 8. They need the vice president and 8. The problem is it's just vice president right now. As far as the cabinet members, we're not sure. But okay. I thought something just broke. I literally heard 25th
that's me.
Amendment.
I mute it for a sec when I have to holler at my kid.
No. Like, I have TV on in the background, like in my headphones.
Okay.
And I heard 25th Amendment. I was like, oh shit, did it just happen? So the vice president and the majority of the cabinet would then basically send a letter to the pro tempore, which is Chuck Grassley and Nancy Pelosi. At that point, the VP becomes the president. Like, at literally that point. Now, the president now has a ability to disagree with that statement, and and the vice president has 4 days to respond. So, if it happened at the exact same time, like if Trump learned that Pence was going to, and well, it's being talked about constantly, so yeah, we're gonna get the second that this happens in public. The president can then respond and say, no, I disagree, I'm perfectly fine, everything is fine. Then vice president or the president, acting president at that time, has 4 days to respond and say, I disagree with your disagreement. So when that happens, the idea is he has 4 days to respond, that things can calm down a little bit. But both arms of the Congress then has 21 days to deliberate and come to a majority on who ends up winning in that argument. And that's 2/3 majority and 21 days to deliberate. So really, it can happen for 4 days. And then it can go to House, which could take some time, which could take the full 21 days running it out. But it can also be sped up because House and Senate things they can set, like, they can pass resolutions for time limits on how long they can talk for. Resolutions would be occurring that could be skewed in such a way that it could be sped up faster than 21 days. If the majority is not reached, then the president resumes office. That's if both come to a majority on who wins this argument. So basically, what people are hoping for, and my opinion, it wouldn't be the best idea. It would look really bad, and especially with the way that everything is standing right now, and how even the right the far right was saying hang Mike Pence, that's not a good idea. Nor is this method that they're thinking, the impeachment method, it would be a thing, but he wouldn't be removed from office, so it's not as successful of a process. But yeah, they basically are hoping if the 25th is, put in, or if the 25th is executed, that they're hoping that in Senate they would be able to do a filibuster, and that's basically the only way that they'd be able to draw out the 21 days. And he's got how many days left? 12, 10? Something like
9.
That? 9?
I think.
Really?
Let me get a calendar here.
I got one in front of me. Today's the 10th. Oh yeah, it's 10 days. Today's the 10th.
Yeah, 10 days.
10 days. So, yeah, that's, I think, also another reason why Pence is kind of like saying, well, it's not off the table, but let's just say that I'm not constantly thinking about it. And it's also would be really damaging for his career if he ever, goes back into politics or gets involved in the party in some way, or more involved in the party. It would be bad for him career-wise, just because, like, you're the guy who overthrew the president in the newest, or in the thing that's never been invoked. And then you're also talking about the thought process behind the fourth, section 4 of 25 is in the event of a disaster. So, if he's unresponsive, or if he's, and when I say unresponsive, I mean, well, dead. Or, in a vegetable state. Or if he's going in for emergency surgery. Those are really the only uses for it. The argument here would be saying that he's not in the right mental state, and the only defense to the right mental state would be to go back to, well, the reason why Section 4 was even written in the first place was the Founding Fathers were breaking away from England. The British, essentially the British. I don't know if it's England or whatever, the British. So that would be the originalist claim to make. But yeah, it would be a very interesting legal argument. It would definitely entertain us all. I promise you that. But it's probably not the best. So yeah. And Biden, that was a bad transition. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
About what in particular with it?
VP invoking the 25th.
Here's my hang up on it is my thing about it, sorry, I got sidetracked there.
No, you're all good.
I'm all for it because obviously he's shown very unstable behavior.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand they're taking steps to make sure he's only so powerful in his remaining days, but a lot can go sideways, especially him being him. So with him being so unstable, I think it's a great idea to remove that power. But then you actually do open the door for like every bit of pardoning that they wanted to do. Anything that he couldn't do, Pence can.
Yeah, it would speed that up real quick. Yeah.
So there's a lot of potential for abuse.
And the way that he's talking about, when he was talking about the leaving the White House for when Biden would be sworn in, apparently he has a flight out the door on the 19th. So what he would do is he would pretty much do the 25th, essentially, day before, just so that Pence can then pardon him. That's essentially what we'll probably see. And
that's what I've been expecting. I've been hearing a week in advance. They were originally planning on like a day or what. And again,
they got a list. There's a whole list. I think it was 25 people.
Yeah.
Trump pardon list. Yeah, it's like the third thing on the list.
Yeah, like the talk, and it's all gossip at this point, but the talk
Yeah.
was originally the day before, and then it's 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, something like that, so that way they have time to push through all of these pardons and get through any last agenda that they can through executive order.
Yeah, Trump is hoping to announce the pardons on January 19th, his final full day in office, and his ideas are currently being vetted by senior advisors and the White House's counsel. Where is that list? Honestly, okay, pardoning is one thing, but can we, not pardon war criminals?
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea.
I hate when people use military for political agenda. So like me, obviously, I'm a firm supporter in the military, but I'm also 100% common sense. So do I think we need, almost $1 trillion in budget for the military? No.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off because there was Haditha, and then I think it was something else that the Blackwater guys did that they just got pardoned.
Yeah.
But
I read a little bit about it. I just don't remember specifically what it was, but I remember it was basically they took a car and went shooting. Literally.
And that's the thing is that is a war crime. Just because you're not officially flying, or you're not officially fighting under a flag but a company, you're still a U.S. citizen in a foreign territory using lethal force. You should be 100% accountable, and if anything, I think you should be held to a higher standard. Because you have something called the fog of war, where you guys get into a firefight, shit goes sideways, and then you can wind up accidentally shooting a friendly, or whatever, missiles get dropped in the wrong place. You have to leave room for error. There's a margin of error when you send a whole military body into something, but you're a private citizen with more training and more money. I think you should be held to a higher standard and even more responsible under that.
Apparently he's going to, and the other thing that's really kind of we all know it happens in especially this presidency.
Yeah.
I hate websites that figure out I'm using an ad blocker. Alright, Lil Wayne was on the list.
What?
Yeah, Kodak Black for donating $1 million to his re-election campaign. Yeah, so concerning pardoning celebrities such as rapper Lil Wayne, he posed for a photo during his campaign. Kodak Black, who is serving time for falsifying paperwork to obtain a firearm. Lil Yachty, I don't know who that is. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, who then he's just the one who pushed for Lil Yachty to be pardoned. Kodak Black, or the quarterback, donated $1 million to charity if the president frees him, essentially. I mean, it's a thing that he is doing. But I think the process is vice president will then pardon him so he can have a pardon.
Yeah.
Pardons are only federal though.
Yep.
And then there's state issues.
There's litigation that's already pending in the state of New York, from what I've heard. I don't know if that's a thing, because there's a lot of back and forth of saying we're going to indict or we're building a case.
Well, I know they're talking about Georgia. I know there's an investigation into it. I don't know if they're filing charges, but when he called the Secretary of State in Georgia and basically is I need you to find me 17,480 votes or whatever it was. That there was a letter the next day that was sent to Secretary of State saying I'm opening up an investigation. That was from the Attorney General there. So there's that. He is a resident of Florida. He changed residency mid-presidential election or mid-presidential term. So, and then he's gonna move to Mar-a-Lago, and the problem is in Mar-a-Lago, he has made an agreement with the city, I think, where it's not gonna be a residence So
Yeah, nobody can stay there longer. Hold on. Nobody can stay there longer than like 3 or 7 consecutive days, and a certain amount throughout the year total.
oh, there's that. Because I was gonna say, then why don't you just like stay there for 7 days, fly out, like just be really busy. Like, are they gonna check too? But whatever. He'll figure it out. Worst case scenario, he'll be homeless. He'll be fine. Yeah. So the next one is a cannabis story. I'm gonna like sprinkle them through. The president-elect Joe Biden. I think we should just call him president at this point. President Joe Biden has picked a U.S. Department of Commerce, and that is the governor of Rhode Island. Rhode Island was the one that we were talking about 4 or 5 weeks ago, who not only wants to legalize, he wants to do government-run stores. And I remember the original story was he doesn't want anybody to have a store, he just wants it straight government-run. Which, I mean, the argument of, well, it'll make some tax dollars goes to a completely new level. But Gina Raimondo, I think I said that right. I'm trying to get better at last names because that's kind of like the thing I do at work. Is being given the nod for Commerce Secretary, which is a cabinet position, and if confirmed by the Senate, she would be responsible for representing businesses and the community industry, or the community interests of those businesses, and promoting economic growth, which is something that we probably really, really need at this point because, you know, coronavirus. So that's kind of like a big deal. So hopefully she does well in that position. But she's going to continue pursuing state level reform while she's running as governor, but that's kind of her view, is state run. So hopefully that works out. I totally forgot I should have switched to the thing. This is the story. Marijuana moment. So yeah. Can't not talk about this one, so the insurrection. Let's just go through a timeline here. Basically, that one doesn't matter so much. So he had a gathering in Washington outside the Capitol. He was talking. He said some things. I don't know how much more I want to get into it. Basically, he didn't say go, you know, attack the Capitol, but nothing short of that, or nothing else short of that. So then there was a video, and I kind of want to play it, but so I was watching this like in real time. Like literally I was watching it happen on Twitter in videos in real fucking time. So let's find.
And I was at work, and Phil is like live messaging me, like, you gotta fucking see this.
I was live messaging everybody because, like, yeah. So this was kind of the breaking point. You guys won't be able to hear the sound, but fine. So this is, you know, this is the Capitol steps right here. And there's barricades right here. There's also another angle, I think, back here, or like somewhere over here, basically, of another camera angle, and that's where you see the Capitol Guard back up, and then one of them like pats the other one on the back as they're passing by. It was really weird. There was a lot of pictures. There's a lot of weird theories out there that some of the guards kind of wanted this to happen, type of thing, and others obviously were not gonna let that happen. But yeah, so they broke through a barricade. Then they went into the Capitol. At the time, what was happening was they were certifying electoral college votes. They had their first. There was actually only 2 valid arguments in the states. Pennsylvania was one, and I forgot. I think it started with an A. Arkansas. What was the first? Arizona. It was Arizona. Arizona and Pennsylvania were the only like actual contested ones. There was a bunch of other ones, but there was no senator that wanted to sign on to that. But yeah, this is kind of what it looked like. They were deliberating in their respective chambers. So Senate was done at the time. House was still deliberating. And so they were doing that. And yeah, so they started going. So yeah, that's basically what kind of ended up happening. You can see even the guy that's videotaping this also doing it. They're trying to push them off and spraying, but some of them was like kind of passing them along type of deal. So yeah, that was that. So let's go here. So they all went in. They fucked shit up. I don't know what else to say. Senators were in their offices, and the House, they were on break in the House, but there was some people in the Senate hall that had to be protected. We saw some pictures. I want to see it. I think I have a video of it. Let's see, what's this one? No, this was outside the governor's mansion.
Just realized my mic was still muted. I got a random question for you, though.
Yeah.
Do I want steak or do I want ribs?
Ribs, 100%. It'll always be ribs for me, though, so a little bias there. Yeah, I don't know if I know I had a bunch of pictures, but I don't really feel like running through all the pictures here. Yeah, so there's a lot of people that were, sheltering in place. There's the famous photo. Let's see, images. I'm trying to find the gun one. There was a video circulating. One big warning here, when looking up insurrection videos, be careful. There's a lot of really bad ones. Yeah, this is them, just chilling with their Confederate flags. Here's the picture. That's the picture I was looking for. So this was like I think this kind of explains the entire situation right here. Yeah, that's basically kind of what everything was at. There's videos of them breaking through the glass, and yeah, so this was kind of scary. Not kind of scary. It was fucking scary as fuck. Yeah, one of them walked off with the House podium.
Mm-hmm.
There's that picture. That was later on eBay, and it got taken down, but the final bid before it got taken down was about $77,000. So
That's
yeah.
fucking real, isn't it?
Yeah. Then there was this guy, the Viking. These two have... I don't know if this guy has been arrested yet, but this guy...
They've both been arrested.
Yeah, they both. So
one was arrested, and then the other one turned himself in.
Yeah. So this guy's explanation of why he did it was, I pay their paycheck. I'm a taxpayer, so I am allowed to. And the weird one was he stole a letterhead or an envelope, and he didn't steal it. In his view, he didn't steal it because he left a quarter to pay for that envelope. Postage? Yeah, like, all right then. Like, did he pick it up and like, oh shit, this is probably a felony offense on top of the felony offense I just committed. So like, I'm gonna pay them back so I don't get that second felony. But yeah, so there was all of that. I'm not gonna go super off on it, but when people say left or right, Democrat or Republican, one of the scariest things about this entire thing was the fact that people on the right who have acted in extreme, well, they stormed the fucking Capitol in extreme violence, turned on their own people that they looked up to. This isn't a, are you for insurrection or not type of a situation. This was basically the culmination of a lot of shit and a lot of lying and a lot of fake shit from somebody who kind of claims to be like the truthiest of the people.
That's hilarious in its own right.
It's not all of Trump's fault. It also does lay on the governor, but the governor did the right move because they thought that they had it covered. They didn't. The Capitol Police and everybody involved in calling the people out did not think that that was going to happen. They thought that they had everything covered. They didn't expect such a big outcry. They were doing this, you know, to stand up for a lie that they've been told over and over again. And it's not only a lie as much as it was unpopular opinion. Voter fraud did happen on an extremely small case and an extremely small amount. It happens in every election.
A lot of it isn't really fraud. A lot of it is like somebody will vote and then they die.
Yeah, well, that happens, yes. There was
that
a
happens
story
more than you realize. It's like thousands a year.
Well, yeah,
or
especially
1,000
during the middle of a pandemic.
Mhm.
But there's other situations. There was one that her mother or somebody's mother passed away. They did a mail-in ballot before they passed away, and the daughter voted for her after passing away. So that type of stuff happens, but it's not enough to swing the election. It wasn't that close. I mean, it was close, but it wasn't that close. And while at the beginning, when they were saying voter fraud, you know, we have all this information, it was nipped in the bud, but a lot of people may have, like, believed it a little bit, but they didn't really believe a lot. And then Rudy Giuliani came out and leaked everywhere. And, you know, the whole entire thing, they lost 60 lawsuits. So it was proven at that point that this was not a case that would have actually have been successful in the first place. So pushing that I don't know, statement and that rhetoric is bad for no matter who. It's just bad for America. It's just bad for everybody. So that's the explanation of when I say I don't care who you vote for, but we should all be able to agree that Donald Trump, it was bad for America. And
that's putting it lightly, if you ask me.
Yeah. The whole... The middle of the whole riot, or not riot, but the insurrection. I'm calling it an insurrection because that's what it was. It was also a riot. Okay. But the whole being AWOL during that type of a thing happening, videos of you in the back watching it kind of heat up. There is a video floating around, and I don't know if I have it. Let's find out. I know I have it. I just need to find it. This one? No, it's this one. I found it. Okay. So, they're talking, blah, blah, blah. You can't hear the voice. Oh, can't even see the thing. There you go. So, one more frame over. Turn a little bit. Turn a little bit. There it is. That's Trump, I believe. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that is, or somewhere around here. Essentially, that right there was security cameras from his speech that he was about to, like, this was right before the speech happened, or maybe it was after. This was the cameras and angles from the, there's a map right here. This is the cameras from right here. Oh no, right here. No, right here. It was right here. This is where the event happened. This is where the Capitol is. These are the cameras from there. But if you spin over here in a minute. Oh, where'd it go? There's another screen right here. Hoping to... Maybe it was somewhere else? Maybe it was a different video I got. Oh, there it is. So this is his podium right there. And this is security. And if you can see right here, this is the Capitol. Or this is the stairwell that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And they're pointing at it. They're aware of it happening. They're aware of the tensions in that area and just letting it happen. So apparently that's like the damning evidence there. And I mean, obviously there's security up the ass there. I don't understand why it didn't just get transferred into, the people who were working security there once he left was to go to the Capitol. The vice president was there, so there was still special service there. It was, I think it was unable to be defended, but at the same time, it's, yeah. So, yeah, I really don't care who you vote for. Whoever you think is right, vote for them. But he wasn't good for America at all. He might have done some good things. That's debatable to me, but if it's like your view that, he did some good things, this was something he didn't do good. And a lot of things lately, especially lately. I remember during the start of his presidency, things were, just kind of flowing along slowly. Might have had some stuff. But about, 2019, I think, is when it really hit to a head. And that's because we have pandemic and George Floyd. Let's just group it all together. All of the police killings, this event, the election results, the Georgia. I mean, you have a lot of things, and that's probably the reason why it kind of went to, it was a lot of pressure, and people were just had enough. But it didn't help that he was tweeting, they stole the election, blah, blah, blah. No proof, but just they stole the election, blah, blah, blah. And then Section 230, which is what we're going to get into here in a minute. Yeah, it's just, it's the amount of the fact that people were so attached to Donald Trump's tweets and his rhetoric and everything like that. And some of his rhetoric doesn't make sense, so a lot of people try to make sense of it, and we call those Q supporters. Like that everything's connected and somebody's going, or Pence is going to Gitmo or some shit like that. Like, or Guantanamo Bay, I think is what it was. Yeah, it's a crazy story, but yeah. And it's funny because there's also a clip, and I don't know if I have it on. Actually, I can find it here in a minute. I don't have the video thing. Never mind. I don't have the sound. There's a when you've lost what's his face, the conspiracy theorist. What is it? Banned news channel, was it that? Steve Bannon. What's the name of that crazy dude? Turning the frickin' frogs gay.
Turning the frogs gay? What?
What's the name of the dude? I'm blanking on the dude's name. The one that's like, they're turning the fucking frogs gay. I mean, I could probably turning the
right now.
frogs. Alex Jones. They lost Q supporters lost Alex Jones today or yesterday. Literally yesterday, he was on his show talking to a Q guy and was just like, I can't fucking stand you guys. I can't handle it. You guys are playing like witches and warlocks or some shit. Like, it's a great clip. But yeah, when you've lost Alex Jones, you've lost. But yeah, just him pushing that kind of rhetoric and allowing that type of a thing and not disproving it, all of it. And what we're going to get into right now is after the whole entire situation, he didn't have enough. He wanted to continue pushing the stolen election rhetoric and all of that stuff. He walked right up to the line of conceding and did not cross it, and then just continued pushing more. And yeah, so what ended up happening was Twitter did the first thing. When the insurrection happened, they banned him for 12 hours. The next day, he was live for maybe like 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours, and then they did a permanent ban. And for the people who are talking freedom of speech, let me just explain it. The First Amendment is not a private company controlling what you say. That is not a protection that you have. The First Amendment is actually regarding what the government can do to you or a company. They cannot pass a law making speech illegal of any kind, the government, other than something called imminent lawless action. And that's what this one is covering. But imminent lawless action, fire in a movie theater, essentially. Can't scream fire in a movie theater. Or anything like that. But these are things that were affirmed in Supreme Court in interpreting the First Amendment. Those were the two outliers. So private companies can do whatever the flying fuck they want to do. If they wanted to, make you stand on one foot while you're using the service and be able to actually uphold it in some sort of way, they can do that. It's their business. They can do whatever they want. I guess within reason. And that's what we're going to get into here in a minute. But, so yeah, it makes it so that the government can't force speech. So they can't force Twitter to say every single tweet has to be appended with Trump good. And they can't make speech illegal. And those are your protections. So they had released this, and let's kind of go through it all. So it says, after a close review of recent tweets from the real Donald Trump account and the content and the context around them, specifically how they are being received and interpreted on and off Twitter, the argument is like, okay, well, why are they, enforcing rules that happened off of their platform? It's turned into a morality type of a thing, but I would argue that, yes, morality should very well be played when talking about the president of the United States tweeting some shit. Here's the other argument. What if the Iranian president was saying, yo, I'm going to fucking nuke the shit out of the United States, and just tweeting that all the fucking day? At what point do we say, okay, well, this is happening on the platform, but, you know, we can't do anything about it? Like, come on. We have permanently suspended the account due to the risk of further incitement of violence. In the context of horrific events this week, we made it clear on Wednesday that additional violations, they talked about their public interest policies. We made it clear going back years that these accounts are not above our rules entirely and cannot use Twitter to incite violence, among other things. We will continue to be transparent about our policies and the enforcement. This one is basically like, you know, elected officials have the ability to, and world leaders can speak to their people directly, and that was like the whole idea of Twitter, essentially, just being able to, like, talk to people that you don't know. Comprehensive analysis of why. On January 8th, President Donald J. Trump tweeted, "The 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first, and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form." This is basically saying, I am not accepting the results of the election. This is on January 8th. Shortly thereafter, the president tweeted, "To all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. Again, saying, I still believe I won the election, essentially. Due to the ongoing tensions in the United States and an uptick in the global conversation in regards to the people who violently stormed the Capitol on January 6th, these two tweets must be read in the context of broader events in the country and the ways in which the president's statements can be mobilized by different audiences, including to incite violence, as well as in the context of the pattern of behavior from this account in recent weeks. After assessing the language in these tweets against our glorification of violence policy, we have determined that these tweets are in violation of the glorification of violence policy, and the user should be immediately permanently suspended from the service." Right after this dropped, Facebook banned, YouTube banned Steve Bannon, my favorite creator on YouTube. So hurt. I'm sure the six subscribers he had, just blown away. But yeah, so they kind of went into lockstep, and it then turned into people going to Parler. But number of factors that did this assessment. President Trump's statements that he will not be attending the inauguration is being received by a number of his supporters. So this is them explaining what people are taking it as, and this is kind of the other side of glorification of violence policy that they have, that while he didn't post like, yo, January 17th or whatever, which is what's going around on the internet. Yeah. If the video hasn't been age gated yet, we're far age gated now. But you know, he didn't incite it. He didn't say, yo, you should do this. Which would be weird. But this is kind of like them explaining like why these matter and why these are in context, why the context is being used in such this way. Is being received as not legitimate and is seen as him disavowing his previous claim made by two tweets, and those tweets are a statement by President Donald J. Trump on the electoral certification. "Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. I have always said we would continue our fight to ensure the only legal votes were counted. While this represents the end of the greatest first term in the presidential history, it's only the beginning of our fight to make America great again." This is the thing. So he's saying, nevertheless, essentially saying, hey, I disagree with the outcome of the election. But okay, I'll let it happen just this one time. And that's kind of what it's being read as. Second tweet may also serve as encouragement to those potentially considering violent acts, that the inauguration would be a safe target. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. But, yeah. The use of the words American patriots to describe some of the supporters is also being interpreted as support for those committing violent acts in the United States Capitol, because when the riot was happening, or the insurrection was happening, he called them American patriots. And then Howley did the Hitler hand, not the salute, but the hand. Yeah. And a lot of people are interpreting things like people doing okay signs as a white supremacist thing. It is, but it's in pictures of them doing it, or of different officials doing it, and it's very obviously not what they're doing. Mention of his supporters having a giant voice long into the future, and that they will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form, is being interpreted as a further indication that President Trump does not plan to facilitate an orderly transition. To me, it more reads as not treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form as, yo, I'll pardon you type of a thing. Like, I'm not telling you to do this, but let's just say you'd get in less trouble, which would be very weird if that actually happened. And instead that he plans to continue to support, empower, and shield those who believe he won the election. And he plans for future armed protests have already begun percolating on and off Twitter, including a proposed secondary attack on the U.S. Capitol and state Capitol buildings on January 17th, 2021. I think Twitter putting this date in there, right there, was a bad idea. Because it's not only people who are like, yes, finally President Trump got banned off Twitter. It's also being read by people who are like, this is fucked up. Why would you do this? Yeah, so there's an argument of, well, what about archiving the writings of the president? You know, like, you just kind of deleted that shit. Well, the response to that is the White House actually is responsible for the archiving, not Twitter. So the White House does have a data retention policy. Archiving. Yeah. These are the websites. Communications. Records of the White House. There it is. So there is a National Archive, and it's by law they are to hold records for pretty much everything that is written by the office. It's not general public at all the time, but there is a law saying, yo, you gotta, like, keep all paperwork in the event that it needs to be used in the future, or, you know, you gotta, if something becomes declassified later and somebody does a FOIA act, that all the information is there. So, yeah. By the way, FOIA act, if you don't know, you can actually ask for records regarding anything at any point from the state, federal government, as long as you have a reasonable reason to have it. Like if you're, say, you know, a news reporter, and that's a very loose definition, so anybody can be a reporter type of thing. You can send in a request for information, and as long as it's not classified or in a different category there, that it can be released to you. So, yeah, that's kind of the White House's job, not Twitter's job. So that's the biggest one for that. So there was a wave of them. Where is the list of where? Oh, there is a list. The NPR one. Huh. All right. got banned off Twitter, basically. You've got then Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit, and even Pinterest. I wanted to see what fucking Donald Trump's Pinterest looked like. Like, what has he been pinning? But yeah, new mansions to buy, whatever. He had 88 million followers. And yeah, he's the biggest Twitter account ever suspended on Twitter. Probably will never be beaten, to be quite honest. Because, you know, future presidents probably aren't going to be fucking insane on Twitter. But yeah, he got banned on these platforms, and a lot of people are saying, well, this seems like they're ganging up. Like, Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit, and Pinterest and Twitter all grouped up one day and were like, let's ban Donald Trump. To that, I argue, each of these are businesses. What financial incentive do they have to meeting up with everybody and planning a mass ban on a single person, even if it's the president? If Facebook didn't ban, then Facebook would have gotten all of the attention if they wanted it. His supporters going to Facebook. That would be financial incentive to not ban. So there's no way that they sat down in a rich person mansion and said, yo, let's plan a single second where we ban him on everything. So they go on, and everybody went over to a service called Parler. And this is a really, really funny Twitter. If you ever go on Twitter, definitely go on this one. It's fucked up and funny.
Which one? Parler Twitter?
Parler Hot Takes.
Oh, Hot Takes. Oh, homie, yeah. I'm about to take a look right now.
So there's like the racism and like the mob mentality and everything like that. But that's where I found... I'm just going to pull it up off my Twitter, Facebook. But yeah, that's basically where I've been getting all my... if you know me personally, that's where I've been getting my Parler takes. This one. This one's funny. So one of the biggest problems that they had was the fact that everybody basically impersonated Donald Trump. It happened on Twitter too, where people changed their name to Donald J. Trump on Twitter and they got insta-banned. But it also happened on Parler. So you had like real Donald Trump US, which was like probably the most realistic looking thing because it was like retweeting like federal government type tweets or parlors, whatever the fuck they call it over there. It was
parlays.
Parlays, yeah. Yeah, whatever, man.
That was fucking dumb. You're dumb.
Yeah. So there was a lot of fake ones. There was real Donald Trump, real Donald Trump J. There was a bunch of them. And one of the things on Parler, by the way, is one of the main features to using Parler is you can't DM people unless you send them your identification and when it first came out, your social security number. It's no longer a thing, but you still have to send your identification in order to be able to direct message and to be a verified account. That's weird. Anyway, it goes on. We do not have a lot of time to act. POTUS is strongly considering pardoning all of the patriots who stormed the Capitol. Not stormed. Stormed the Capitol. But we need to get him the right information so he can do it in the next week and a half. If you would like a pardon, please respond below with just the following information. Your name, your city, what crimes you think you may need to be pardoned for, and the briefest explanation of why you think you need to be pardoned, i.e.
This was my favorite shit.
Right? Trespassing, entered the Capitol, theft, stole art from the Capitol, assault, etc., etc. The president needs this list by Tuesday before the House can vote to impeach him again. Please share to anyone who may need it. We are trying to stay off of the mainstream media so that the left does not learn of the president's plan. Don't worry, Fox doesn't know Parler exists. They might as well have just asked, like, and give me the exact location you are so President Trump can go and give you a lollipop after he pardons you. So this is a honeypot, so it's called. Essentially, they want people to admit to crimes, and they can turn them in. For some of the people that were wanted, like the photograph people, there was a $50,000 reward. So essentially, that was the idea, that they were going to find these people, turn them into the FBI, and get a $50,000 reward per person. And basically, these people are handing it out. I don't remember exactly how many, because I was looking at it, because I'm just curious. Yes, I went on fucking Parler. And by the way...
I did too. I made a fake, I used a burner email.
Oh, I used my actual email.
You're a bold man. Those motherfuckers will not have my information.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. So, another thing that I do is I am a techie guy. This is the advertising server of Parler. And the reason why I know it is based on this client IP address here. And this is the proof that this IP address is going on Parler, using Parler API. And the thing about that is, this is the IP address. So if you ping a domain, you'll get an IP address. This is the IP address for the server, flurry.ru, which is the advertising server. And yes, it is a Russian-originated server. And yeah, your data is chilling in Russia.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you say that one more time for the people in the back?
So, and it's also apparently somebody, I didn't verify this, but apparently one of the owners of Parler is married to a Russian national. Yeah. So, by the way, yes, you do need to send in your driver's license or your passport, and you don't exactly know where they're storing that. On top of that, when Parler first came out, there was a hoax of it got hacked, but there is actually a white paper. I'm trying to remember where it is. I bet if I Google Parler right now, it's going to be terrible. White paper? Maybe if I Google this. There was a test of free speech. There's a investigation. I forgot where it was. It's just in their thing. Security. Yes. Compromise. So this is the people talking about compromising. This is the joke. Some previous in Parler, in a report pertaining to the incident, was violently critical of Parler. There's a white paper somewhere. I'm forgetting where it was, but it was somewhere. I'll find it. But essentially, there's a breakdown of the security and the practices of Parler. And they don't follow European law, which, okay, I mean, you're a Russian company, but yeah, they weren't following European law, which is whatever, but they also had the URL that, like parler.com/user/whatever, that ID number was able to be manipulated. So you can go into other people's parlors if you do it the right way. So like you could hack into people's accounts. I don't know if that ever got patched. There was also talk about the sanitization of the data as well, for like how long they store cookies and stuff like that, and how long it stores on your computer. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff in there, but people went to Parler. These are the things that are on Parler. I'll have to bring my machete with me to survive likely getting attacked by an enraged mob. What's a bad take? Is this like when lefties say that you're allowed to have your opinion unless you're a fascist, as defined by them? I want to be remembered as the first conservative that made the leap to Parler second year. Whatever. Breitbart obviously being on there. You went on account, retweet if we should enforce 1 year in jail for burning the American flag. Rudy Giuliani's on there. Trying to find the really, really fucked up shit. It's probably calmed down a little bit since. Essentially, people went there for all of 4 hours or so, 2 to 4 hours. Google had taken them off the Play Store, which on Android isn't that big of a deal. Parler still had the ability to have people use their service, but they also had the ability to install it directly from the website. Like, you could click a button and download an installer on Android. Can't do that on iPhone. But that was kind of like, okay, whatever, you got me, but not a big deal. Then Apple turned around and said, you got 24 hours. After that was happening, AWS, which the first thing I did when everybody was going to Parler was ping Parler and see where the fuck it's hosted out of. Yes, it's using AWS, Amazon Web Services, and Amazon gave them 24 hours to fix their shit, to fix people for saying, I know I have some spicy ones, I gotta find them. This one? Oh, maybe I did it only on my phone, because I think I went to these. Yes. Oh, yeah, then shortly after he got banned, by the way, Trump then tweeted from the POTUS account, and this is what it said. Yes, I was watching this in real time, too, by the way. As I may have been saying for a long time, Twitter has gone further and further in banning free speech, and tonight, Twitter employees have coordinated with Democrats and okay, hold on, let me fix this. Twitter employees have coordinated with the Democrats and the radical left and Antifa and removing my account from their platform to silence me and you, the 75 million great patriots who voted for me. Still using that same rhetoric, like, dude, you got banned for that shit. Just calm down for a little bit, maybe fix your shit. But Twitter may be a private company, but without the government's gift of Section 230, they would not exist for long. I predicted this would happen. We have been negotiating with various other sites, and we'll have a big announcement soon. A lot of people took that as I'm going to be dropping a video. God, it sucks that people had to say that. That he was going to be dropping another, like, presidential address video. That did not happen yet, so, yeah. But apparently, while we also look at the possibilities of building out our own platform in the near future, we will not be silenced. Twitter is not about free speech. They are all about promoting a radical left platform where some of the most vicious people in the world are allowed to speak freely. Stay tuned. I know where I can find these.
I'm Googling this shit out of it, and most of what I'm coming across is, like, Parler getting the shaft.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the reason why I can't find and that's that thing. I know we were, like, sharing them. That's the press secretary. This was funny.
I cannot fucking wait until she's gone. Oh my god, if I have to listen to bullshit Barbie fucking spoon feed the American public bullshit after blatant lie, Ugh. If I have
Oh,
to listen
boy,
to
oh,
that
boy.
anymore, I'm gonna fucking scream. The president did not say that.
Oh, Team
Roll
Trump
tape of the
did.
president saying that shit.
Oh, wait. Team Trump. Trying to do this so I'm not like exposing my messages, but this was Team Trump. They tweeted that, and that was shortly after. Where is it? I forgot what it was, but Ted Cruz was saying, you know, they're making fun of us for the Confederate flag, or us. Well, yeah, he is them. Confederate flag. Don't you know that has like bad meaning? Blah blah blah. And then while he's like got the communists' hammer and sickle, like you're doing the same thing. Let's see, there was one that was like really fucked up. This is everywhere basically. Essentially, there was some really fucked up shit that was posted on there, like talking about, you know, and they have graphics and everything too. Like there was Capital One. I downloaded it at one point.
Oh, dude. Okay, you Google. I found a couple of them.
The fucked up tweets or the fucked up parlays.
It's Fridays. Barack Obama's the most corrupt president in history, and then somebody commented, and his wife is a man. This guy, Dan Bongino, the body counts will continue to grow in the American cities run by radical liberals until the people vote for change. It's tragic, but we all know it's true. If you live in New York City, then you are at risk precisely because of the policies of the liberals and Bill de Blasio.
Oh, here's one. Wayne is a civil war in name only. Okay. The butchering, maiming, torturing will only be felt by commie progressive Democrats and their commie families. The horror that is going to unfold will be glorious. The darkness that is going to fall on all Democrat voters will be worse than any Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, or Hellraiser movie could portray. We can only hope the bloodbath only lasts a few weeks. Wayne, what needs to happen is leftist commie Democrat traitor politicians' kids and grandkids need to be burned alive and thrown into wood chippers in front of them. When Democrats see Americans murdering their wives, kids, parents, grandparents, only then will they realize that there's no longer a game. There's 50 million fighting aged males, Trump MAGA supporters, millions are military veterans. They will do what is needed to save America from the Marxist commie filth and Judas rhinos. I think that's the worst one I found. So yeah, Parler got into some shit for that. And if I go on Parler right now, because I know it got shut down, oh, is it back? No way. How long did it fucking take to come back? What the hell? They're on a different platform and everything, too. Now they're asking for a phone number or email. Maybe they already had that. Let's do a little bit of live investigation. Alright, where are you hosted out of? If they're using Cloudflare, I will fuck them up. That looks like a Cloudflare IP. Let's find out. Aaron.net. This is how easy it is to figure out where somebody's hosted. Unless they use Cloudflare. Then... No, it wasn't Cloudflare because it was an IPv6. My computer would automatically do IPv6 for that. I swear to God, if it's what I was betting before... Amazon. Amazon CF. Oh, they're using Amazon's routing system, probably because they're waiting for, yeah, Dogfish routing. So they're using Amazon's service to be able to have no downtime, essentially. They're still not on they're not off of Amazon, but they're coming off. So yeah, they were taking off AWS, and with all of that information, how comfortable are you that if you are a Parler account, they either have your email and a password that you commonly use that could possibly not be encrypted, or an ID and a passport photo of you that they could possibly just still have on their servers?
Isn't that crazy to think? It is such a poorly put
And a
together
lot
service.
of hacks and leaks of databases are usually because the service had changed. Shit, my IP address is up there. A lot of people will usually get their information stolen because of an unsecured previous server. Somebody ordered a server, they used it, and somebody in the data center or that hosting company, while doing sanitization of the data, pulled all the data and leaked it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably some happy person in Amazon looking all through that shit. And I can almost guarantee it.
Isn't that crazy to think, though?
Yeah.
Like, it's such a poorly put together service that shit is more than likely just going to be dumped.
And a thing that I also wanted to show off was this is Facebook's TOS. Combat harmful conduct and protect and support our community. People will only build community on Facebook if they feel safe. That's actually a really good explanation of that. We employ dedicated teams around the world to develop advanced technical systems to detect misuse of our products, harmful conduct towards others, and situations where we may be able to help support or protect our community. If we learn of conduct like this, we will take appropriate actions. For example, offering help, like if you do a suicidal thing, removing content, removing or restricting access to certain features, disabling an account, or contacting law enforcement. We share data with other Facebook companies when we detect misuse or harmful conduct by someone using one of our products. So you don't have the freedom of speech everybody talks about on Facebook. Same thing with Twitter. They have rules and policies. This is their community guidelines, which are part of the user agreement and outline what is prohibited on the services. You may use the services only in compliance with these terms and all applicable laws and rules and regulations. These are things that you hit I agree to on almost every single thing. Like, nobody reads this shit. That's probably a reason why a lot of people think that they have freedom of speech on private platforms. That's something that you agree to on Twitter if you have a Twitter account. This is something that Parler agreed to by having an AWS account. Yeah. No private company is going to let you fucking post whatever the fuck you want. The whole reason why Section 230 hasn't actually gotten attacked and shredded to bits is because these companies have fucking common sense and know that if they step over that line, that protection will be taken from them. And on top of that, Parler had two choices. Either they continue doing their shit and they get kicked off of platforms. The domain was going to be next, more than likely. That was going to be the next thing that gets taken away. Or, in the event of Section 230 ever being repealed, sued into fucking space for threats, for everything. Because what that means is somebody can make a post and under Section 230, I can sue that person. And they might not have a lot of money. But without Section 230, yeah, I can sue that person, but I'm more interested in suing Parler because I know they have money.
Oh, what about that section I found? Remember that? That section of their TOS where it basically says that if they get sued...
Oh, yeah, indemnity. Yeah, that's a very common thing in most of them. Indemnity clauses is basically saying, if we get sued, you have to protect us, essentially. If we get sued because of your shit, you have to protect us, and you have to, stand up for us.
Right, and or you eat the cost.
Oh, yeah, you also eat the cost of it, too. That's the thing, is... I believe Section 230 should be maybe tweaked a little, but I think all laws regarding the internet need to be a little bit adjusted. DMCA, for instance, yeah. A law from the 60s is probably not that useful in 2021. Maybe even, like, let's go through, like, review periods. Like, why don't we just have, like, a law where you have to review for latest problems? I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
But, I don't know. What do you think about all of it?
Oh, you know me. Give me specifics.
All right, let's go with Trump ban. We'll go down the whole list.
I have always been on the fence about that because I think he should be held to the same standards, like community guidelines, that we have to be. But I also understand that for historical record and the ability for a public figure to reach as many people as possible, that needs to be a thing. So I think they had a good balance with labeling things as either false or misinformation, whatever. That's the best you really can do, you know? But now that there's so little time that he's in office, like, fuck it. There's nothing that you're going to say or do right now that's going to do anything beneficial after everything that happened.
The other thing that I also have to say is the one downside about banning Trump and all of that stuff is it's kind of creating the... Because a lot of racists, fucked up people followed him in the first place and liked reading his shit, that it's basically kind of driving everybody underground. That's a problem. But I don't know. They probably already had underground avenues in the first place. 8chan, 4chan, all of that. But yeah, I kind of agree with you though. Like, it was known that he was going to get banned the second he left office. Like, everybody knew it. Because, like, yeah, he got away with some shit. Parler. What do you think about just Parler just in general? You were a user of Parler.
I think it is a fucking awful service. And one of the reasons I say that is I told you, was that last night that I was fucking around with it?
Yeah.
I got on there, I searched the word Trump, and then it put me in this fucking weird loop where nothing was responsive in the page. No links, nothing, okay? And what it was doing was probably 50 times a second. It was flipping between the URL.
Oh, it was like redirecting?
Yeah, but it was just flipping between these two. And then at the bottom was popping up saying error, blah, blah, blah. Whoever's on the other end has been notified or whatever. So they probably DOSed the shit out of themselves for however long I let it run, or until somebody hopped on and said, you're out.
Yeah, that's the
but
thing,
it's just
too.
such a shitty service. And then, like, on top of it being poorly built, it's basically been advertised from the beginning that this is for you to basically stand on your soapbox, regurgitate all the dumbass shit that you want to regurgitate, and nobody's going to say anything about it.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is, like, when you give people freedom of speech, the first thing they want to do is test how far they can go.
Yep.
Like,
that's true to any human. Like, any human action is, we will test the boundaries of every single thing. If we're able to, we will.
And some people can get, like, that parlay. God, I cringe every time I say it. That parlay that I read out, like, that is some creative ass, fucked up, definitely not okay shit. And I don't even think that would be allowed on. Like, there's a lot of web service or hosting providers. First of all, AWS was probably their only cheap method. The only other thing that you can do, and you can still get fucked by it, is actually rent out a rack in multiple different data centers and create your own CDN, which then you can spin off as your own CDN for freedom of speech if you really wanted to own your own metal on the server, to actually, like, you know, be able to say whatever you want. But then you gotta also deal with the internet service provider that's providing it. And at that point, there's really nothing you can do. Unless you want to, you know, invest into building your own fucking fiber line to a backbone. You really wanted to, and then you still got to deal with the ISP. That's the level 1 ISP there. And they don't fuck around. Like, at all. Your only other option is to, like, go stealth on it, like, just not even use the word parlor, and just, like, parlor. Like, just make your own separate thing, and just, for the first beginning of the ownership of the company, like, nobody knew who the owners were. It was, like, super sketchy. But yeah, like, that type of shit, it was very obvious that they're gonna, like, get fucked. I don't know. But I think that, like, if they were like, hey, we're not going to, like, if they branded themselves as, like, a right-wing platform. Okay, let's see. Do you agree or disagree that Twitter is more of a left-leaning platform than right, as far as its users? Maybe their owners. You do?
I don't.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just, like, statements that, what's his face made.
I think a lot of it's, well, and, like, the CEO, you know, he's entitled to his own opinion, but in terms of, like, the service and how it operates, it's, like, one of the big, like, how Parler came to be was because they're centering conservative points of views and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you can't run around saying fucking hang Blackie, you know? And that's basically what they were running around doing, was throwing out all these absurd, awful points of views, or trying to rally people for things that are, like, clearly wrong. So they hop on these platforms and they say, you know, God, what's some dumb shit? Like, say the election was rigged and blah, 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 and you guys need to go and, you know, fucking storm the Capitol. They violated the TOS by that, and then they get their shit pulled, and then they turn around and hop all over Fox saying they're censoring us. They're, you know, shoving our views aside because they're more liberal leaning or whatever. And it's like, no, there's rules there, you know, and it's like, you violated those rules, plain as day. Nobody's hopping on, like, nobody's moderating. You know, if I hop on there and I say, you know, go Trump, I love him, hope he does his thing, whatever. And, like, even if I got a little specific and said, like, you know, I hope that he, you know, I can't even think of an example.
Well, yeah, no,
but
like,
basically,
you wouldn't get banned for saying something that's okay in that spectrum. Like,
yeah,
a right-leaning statement wouldn't just get you banned, but...
Yeah, and, like, they're making, the way that they're putting it is that if one hopped on and said, you know, hang Trump for, you know, his treasonous bullshit or whatever,
right, that
it would be perfectly fine and it would be allowed. But then if somebody turned around and said, hang Obama, you know, I thought he was the worst president ever, that would get banned. And that's not the case, and that was not happening.
Yeah. Well, no, they're like, enforcement, I think, was even-handed, but I honestly feel, then going on to maybe just users, that the political...
the user base.
Yeah, the user base, I think, is more left-leaning. But I think Parler, if they just branded themselves as, hey, like, we're not going to ban left-leaning people, but, like, we'll foster a right-leaning community.
Yeah, or, like, we're more of a conservative community.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if they just did that, they would probably have been okay. As long as they didn't let fucking that rant that I went off on, this one, that one's not okay.
No, and that's what I'm talking about, is, like, the people who run these platforms
are so fucking stupid. Look at this. Okay. That's the username.
I can't read it.
No. It says Juarez TX. if you want to take a wild guess where that person lives and possibly their fucking last name. I mean, Juarez is a common last name, but like, come on. I think he was talking to like Wayne, but yeah, I don't know.
It's just hard for me, even just you ask me that, it's hard for me to really formulate exactly how I feel about it, because at this point, part of the reason why it is more of a left-leaning community is because that's who's left.
Yeah.
You know? And, again, it's hard because Cruz, I think it was Cruz.
Ted Cruz with his, I was at like 184 this morning and I'm at 148. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I don't, maybe it wasn't Cruz. Somebody in the conservative side, they shared a thing. You shared it with me, I think, of how Facebook pulled their ability to advertise and whatever. And it's like, you blatantly violated the TOS.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Nobody's censoring you because you're conservative. They're censoring you because you violated the TOS, and you violated something where it warranted them pulling your advertising.
And I think another thing that's like fishy. Okay, I think with the advertising thing, during the November election, they said, we are going to allow political ads to run until the end of the election, but we're going to lock new buys a week before the election started. So like they would cut off people from running new campaigns, but
a week before.
I think they should have done that with Georgia, and I think that might be like the justification for it, and that would probably be why they like said, yeah, you're banned for running ads, because we told you a week before the election, this was days before, that we wouldn't let you run an ad, a new campaign. But like,
that actually has ties into law. The reason why they did that.
Really?
A runoff is a special event kind of thing, but it's the same thing. I mean, we had to talk about this with the measure stuff, that I think like the day of an election or something like that, you can't advertise within 300 feet of blah, blah, blah. That actually, I mean, that has a lot of purpose, because there's so much advertising going on that's rooted in social media, or like its origin is social media advertisements that's ported over to different things like display screens and whatever. So it was probably just to prevent advertisements, like open advertisements going on right as people are trying to vote, and that week buffer, I think, probably took into account the bump in mail-in voting.
Yeah, and I think another thing that they probably like could have done a little bit better was allow people to run a campaign, but also like fact check it a little bit. I don't want to say like, you know, you can't, if you have money, Facebook especially, is if you got money, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you can advertise whatever the fuck you want, as long as it's not like hard drugs or like, you know, federal felonies. But like, you can, here's one. Kratom. You can't say the word, I want to buy Kratom, or be in Kratom groups and saying the word sale, cash, purchase, website, anything like that. Anything regarding purchasing Kratom. But on every single fucking day, because I go on Kratom and that's what it's tagged me as, like a Kratom person, because I've been banned multiple times for it. Whatever. Every single fucking time, I'll get at least one ad every single time I run the app of a Kratom company selling Kratom, advertising on Facebook, having a Facebook page that then links you to the website. If you got money, Facebook doesn't give a shit. But at the same time, fact-checking some of that, or providing maybe even context to certain ads, which could actually help the advertiser. Like, okay, maybe I can't fit all this information in 10 seconds. Then I can fit it in with the context that it adds. But I don't know, we've been going for
a couple
almost
hours.
2 hours, yeah. So that's all we have. Hopefully you guys like the extra long Canna-heads, simply because last 2 weeks I haven't done one. So if you like this
Well,
video,
this is good. Like,
Yeah.
I like the discussion, and as I said, like, I can't get hit with like, what do you think about this whole thing? But it's like specific topics. I mean,
yeah,
I really enjoy digging into it. This is a lot of fun.
yeah, it's interesting. I think that's why I like podcasts and stuff like that, is just kind of talking about people's views and debating it. It's interesting. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure to share it out. Also check us out on YouTube at Canna-Talk ND. I have not fixed that yet. The YouTube page that you're watching this on, make sure to subscribe, is what I mean to say, and hit the like button. And if you like this show and want more, make sure to check out Canna-Talk ND with Wilson, or Canna-Talk with Wilson, on 95.9 Radio Free Fargo every Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. And if you're not in the Fargo-Moorhead area, you can also listen a few days later on your favorite podcasting platform or YouTube, which is the channel you're watching this on, or radiofreefargo.org if you want to watch it or listen to it live. So that's kind of cool. My name is Phil.
I'm Anthony.
And this has been Canna-Heads. We'll see you guys next week, Sunday at 7:30 p.m. And, yeah. Alright. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Y'all know me, still the same OG, but a bit low-key. Hated on by most these jokers with no cheese, no deals and no G's, no wheels and no keys, no boats, no snowmobile.